Louisiana, we bury mostly above ground. This goes back to many years ago when the early colonists tried to bury their loved ones. They found because of the high water table, no matter what they tried to do, whether they tried to weight the coffins down, drill holes in them, let the water weigh them down, they would come up out of the ground. So we went to the Spanish or European custom of burying above ground. And we basically still bury above ground. We also bury below ground, and we do cremations, which at one time was forbidden by the Catholic Church. Most of your tombs will accommodate 2 coffins. At the bottom of the tomb is what's called the caveau, C-A-V-E-A-U. It's like an open pit or vault. This is where all the remains go. The first coffin will go into either the top or bottom section. And then the second one, again, to the top or bottom, depending where the first one went. What happened if there was the third person that had to go into that tomb? They would take the oldest coffin out of that tomb, take the remains out of the coffin, put it into the caveau, and then make room for the third coffin to go into the tomb. So we have what we call a recycling process with our tombs. We use them over and over. Now, some of the larger tombs are what we call society tombs. If you couldn't afford to buy a tomb or rent a tomb in the wall vault, you would join a fraternal organization. They would give you a burial spot within a membership. So some of the larger tombs are what we call society tombs. At the far end of the cemetery is what's called a wall vault. You can rent a spot or buy a spot in that. After a year and a day, you can take the coffin out of that tomb and put it into your family tomb or a tomb that someone may lend you if that was possible. If not, you would stay into the wall vault. Now, the wall vault is no longer used today because back then, people about 4'11", 5'4", people much larger and the coffins are much larger, so therefore the wall vaults are no longer used. As I mentioned, we have over 41 cemeteries throughout the metropolitan area. Most of the cemeteries are run by the Catholic Church. We also have public cemeteries, private cemeteries, and we do have 3 Jewish cemeteries. Back in 1853, we had the yellow fever epidemic. At that time, there was about 11,000 people that were dying. And they put it in a law at that time that before you can reopen a tomb, you have to wait a year and a day. So again, that's why I mentioned that if you were renting a spot in the wall vault after that year and a day, you could take that coffin out of that and put it into a family tomb. But this cemetery here dates back to about 1852. According to the sexton, he says there's about 400 to 450 are buried here per year. Now, these tombs are owned by the individual families. You get a deed for it, just like you do when you buy a home. It's your responsibility to keep that tomb up. Now, if a tomb does get into a decay state, after 3 to 5 years, they cannot find any heirs, they'll repossess that tomb, take all the remains out of the coffins, destroy the coffins, and then refurbish the tomb and sell it to someone else that may want to buy it. So our burial is quite different. During Hurricane Katrina, there was some coffins that came up out of the ground. And then 25 days later, Hurricane Rita, still some tombs came up out of the ground in some outlying areas. So this is why, one of the reasons, again, why we bury above ground. Now this type of burial is, you see it all through Europe and also Central America. I was in Sicily in 2003 and met some distant relatives, and they took me to where my grandparents are buried. And the tombs are there just like they are here. So it is quite different here in New Orleans. Any questions about anything? Okay, according to my watch, it's about 1:45, so about 5 minutes to 11. We need you to be back on the coach so we can continue on with the tour, okay? Please watch your step.